as India. His name was Shah Jahan. He was a beloved ruler who led his people into great prosperity. But in all the glory of his kingdom, there was but one thing he prized above all else: his beautiful wife, Mumtaz Mahal. But one day, tragedy. Mumtaz Mahal died while giving birth to her 14th child, and darkness fell upon the entire kingdom. Then, burning with grief and sorrow, Shah Jahan declared that he would build the greatest tomb the world had ever known in memory of his beloved wife. For 22 years, he built and built. But not everyone was pleased with Shah Jahan and his tireless efforts to immortalize his queen. It was his own son who became so angered at the grievous spending on such an extravagant tomb that he overthrew his father and locked him in a tower in the Red Fort, where Shah Jahan lived the remainder of his days, only able to gaze out a window at his distant masterpiece. Never again his feet to touch the marble floors, until the day his body was laid forever to rest next to his beloved queen.
More than 350 years later, and the Taj Mahal still remains a spectacle to behold. The beautiful white marble reflects a legend that has grown to mythical proportions. India is a world within itself. The culture here is deeply influenced and rooted in ancient traditions. Yet this marble mausoleum is a paradox to the Indian culture itself. You see, for generations, the tragic history of women in India is far from the lore of the Taj Mahal. There's such a vast disconnect between the fairy tale and the reality of the circle of life for all women, from young to old. Hindi and English are the primary languages here. However, there are 22 official languages and over 1,500 dialects spoken across the country. This is obviously a factor in slowing the progress of modernizing society as a whole. 80% of the entire population reside in rural areas and have very few, if any, modern amenities. While only 1/3 the land space of the United States, India is the largest democracy in the world today, with more than 1.2 billion citizens. This land also boasts some of the largest metropolitan areas in the world, like here in the capital of India, New Delhi. New Delhi is considered the microcosm of India. With a beautiful blend of modern and ancient, this bustling city is home to more than 21 million people. As one of the most populous metropolitan areas in the world, there is no shortage of crime here, especially when it comes to victimizing women. On December 16, 2012, an incident in New Delhi made international headlines when a 23-year-old girl got on a bus and was dragged to the back, beaten with a rod, and gang raped within an inch of her life.
Raping of a young girl in Delhi, and You have 400,000 people marching on the streets, sitting in front of the India White House, boycotting, shouting, and screaming.
Rape cases happening in the buses, in the public, out in the light, during the day. Rape cases have been reported in our country, in the metropolitan cities.
Right after that incident, newspapers continually report raping and abusing and killing of women. The sad thing is, this has been going on forever.
We actually had a girl in the hostel, I remember, and all of a sudden she starts gushing out blood. We'll come to find out it was a miscarriage, and she was hiding it for days, and finally one day she just let it all out, and she said, "This person in my family abused me, and this has been going on for years," and this time she happened to become pregnant. Since it's a shame-oriented culture, a lot of women keep things inside. If everybody in the village comes to know they were raped or abused, who wants to marry that girl?
Lots of these outcry against the violence against women, or the protests that we see in the TV or even the media, it kind of created awareness about what measures need to be taken.
Historically, no matter what country you live in, men dominate any culture.
In India, male is the dominated person. In the society, the male is being given the high respectable position, or even he is having high regard. Woman is being inferior, considered as inferior. So women have no respect in the society.
Like in America, everything's equal. Maybe women are higher in some things, but here women are lower. They're looked down on.
Possibly the most unreached, untouched, suffering community in the world today, it is the women who don't have any hope.
Despite the country's reputation for poverty and trash-lined streets, India is also home to some of the wealthiest people in the entire world, and is ranked among the top 10 cities in the world with the most billionaires. Formerly known as Bombay, Mumbai is home to the Bollywood film industry. But it's not all glamorous in this tinsel town.
They boast about the third strongest economy in the world. It is a joke. The poverty and the suffering of people becoming more and more the poor people. The worst slums are all around. And so, the gap is so enormous.
More than 60% of the population of Mumbai live in the slums. They can see luxury, but it's a luxury they'll never know. The caste system is a social structure that was created to oppress and segregate people for generations.
It is still going on. It's still going on. The practice is very much going on.
You see, in the Indian caste system, segregation occurs in occupation. If you're born poor, you'll be poor for your entire life. If you're born wealthy, you'll be wealthy. You, in essence, inherit your occupation from your parents and will pass it on to your children. It is a never-ending cycle of poverty and struggle that you're not allowed or even given the opportunity to escape.
The truth that both the rural as well as the urban people do the same thing.
Like in India, you have 1.2 billion people, that's a population. You are talking about almost 1/3 of the population are the untouchables or the Dalits. Now here's a problem. Among the untouchables, these are people that are subhuman, mistreated, abused, raped, and in absolute suffering.
This is a fatalistic society, you know. Hey, this was supposed to happen to me. You're going to be a Dalit all your life anyway. What's the point? So might as well just be there.
They will never have opportunities to outgrow this. Being born into the caste system becomes an unbreakable curse that will last their entire lives.
So then next we went to the place where the people are living on the plastic roof. They are just, washing the clothes and they are staying in the same room. Those kind of people, they are really living in a horrible condition.
Almost every child born in the slums will live here their entire lives, within its narrow, tattered walls and polluted walkways. They will never experience life outside of their one-room shanty with no indoor plumbing, nor the guarantee of a meal each day. They live amongst endless piles of garbage and refuse.
So it's hopeless. Basically, it's hopeless. You're kind of waiting to die.
Traveling to the far northeastern corner of India, you find yourself in a land of tea fields and mountains. While the climate and the landscape is completely different, the struggles are very much the same here in the foothills of the majestic Himalaya Mountains in Dibrugarh, Assam. Amid the beauty of this distant region that stretches out all along the shores of the mighty Brahmaputra River, life is simple for the millions who populate this exotic region. However, it is in places like this that the caste system permeates every part of life.
Caste system is a very serious thing, but in this part of the area also the same problem is there.
In Assam, it's all about tea. Almost all jobs available here can be traced to the tea fields, with low pay, long hours, and back-breaking work. But this is the only means of survival for most families in this region. In this remote tea field sits a village absent of modern luxuries, like electricity and running water. Like almost everyone else in her village, Malati is a laborer. She works for less than $1.50 per day in the tea fields. However, it was her friendship with a young man from another village that caused her to experience an even darker side of the caste system.
She was taken by force by a boy from another village, so she would become his wife. His family hated her because she was from a lower caste.
They will have to face a lot of problems, like they can be chased out of the village and things like that.
Even though Malati was forced into her marriage, her in-laws found no fault with their son and instead accused her.
His family hated her, So they set out to kill her. Her in-laws poisoned her food and drink.
After she ate, she began to feel strange and disturbed. She knew something was wrong, so she ran from the house and found her way to her parents' home, where she survived the poison, but it completely destroyed her vocal cords.
If a boy who belongs higher caste marries or elopes with a girl who's a lower caste, the family of the higher caste, they somehow find out these two people and kill them. And thereby they say that it's a kind of honor for them because their community was spoiled. Now the honor has come back because the person is no more.
One of the most destructive habits among men all across India is gambling.
Many of the men are very much fond of playing cards.
Mostly 90% husband जो होते हैं घर का जो मेन है वो दारू पीने वाला होता है.
They gather with friends for gambling and drinking most nights, leaving the wife and children with no food. And in most cases, they come home drunk. This forces the woman into not only having to take care of the children and the home, but to also work a hard labor job for low pay because it's the only way she will ever be able to put at least one meal on the table each day.
Men are abusive and many times leave these women and they suffer there with their children.
It's a very difficult living position for the women there. For me and my family growing up in the slums, my father was a drunkard and mother was facing a lot of the struggles. I have literally seen how many times my mother cried and wept because of my father. My entire life was spent searching for food in the garbage. I was eating and filling my stomach. It's the same way for all the women in the slum area. They face the same problems for their families.
Male is dominating the house. If he's a drunkard, he's earning the money, so there's no need to give account to the wife because she's inferior. So he goes and beat her, and though she doesn't have any strength, she will be getting up and just going and cooking food for him and giving.
In the slums, it is very sad to say, but the husbands will send their wives to someone else's house, and they say to people that she is going to clean their house or something like this. But she is really going for prostitution.
When a woman is forced into prostitution by her husband one time, word eventually gets around through the slums, and soon random men will be showing up at her doorstep and pay a price to the husband for his wife. Then this home becomes known as a place of prostitution. Sometimes even forcing their young daughters to do this as well. Because of this problem, HIV is rising to epidemic proportions throughout the slums, even among the children.
Life is really strugglesome for a woman, even from the birth till death.
In the far northwestern corner, sharing a border with Pakistan, sits the unique state of Punjab, also known as the spiritual center for Sikhism. The city of Amritsar is where millions make pilgrimage each year to visit the Golden Temple. Built hundreds of years ago out of pure gold, this temple is the crown jewel of this entire region. However, despite a temple made of gold, they are not immune to the hard life of poverty and the struggles of day laborers. We now come into one of the most insidious issues facing women: not being wanted.
In the rural villages, life is really difficult still for women in our country.
This state has its own identity in everything from music, food, to even religion. When a female child is born, It brings shame to the family simply because she was a she.
But what happens is like more of illegal practices of sex selection is happening still in India.
In India, they have passed laws which say that you should not use ultrasound for pregnant women to determine sex of the baby.
My first child born to me was a daughter. Then the second child I thought would be a boy, and I was happy. But again, when it was born, it was a daughter. I was very sad because I thought it would surely be a boy.
When your second child is also a girl, they believe you are cursed.
When you give birth to a girl baby, it's the fault of the mother. It's not the fault of the guy. It never is.
The third time I became pregnant, my in-laws told me to get an abortion.
So this starts right while the girl is in the womb of the mother.
I mean, think about it. The ratio of men and women in China and in India, you'll notice this. It's very, very serious.
Her in-laws gave her abortion pills, but fortunately for her, they failed to work. And when her third child was born, it was, in fact, another daughter.
My in-laws were now deadly against me. They would speak evil things and told me to leave or die so they could marry their son to some other woman.
They keep a lot of things inside that they don't say openly. And then some of them commit suicide, try to deal with it in their own way.
And so I thought, I should just be dead. So I attempted suicide.
The suicide rate among women in India is 21 times the worldwide average. And with an increase in suicides by 60% over the last 50 years, it's a tragic reality that has become a national epidemic.
We do medical camps in rural places. We had 400 people to see in a whole day. So she says, my child is sick. So then she unwrapped the child. And then what I saw is something which I can never ever forget in my life.
I delivered a little baby girl, and he absolutely forced her not to nurse her, not to take care of the child, so it will die because it happened to be a girl.
Okay, this is a girl. Fine if she dies, kind of stuff. So that's kind of the way things start off.
So I feel things would change for something better in the days to come. But all that we can do is we let people know the preciousness, the uniqueness of women and how they need to be protected. Our privileges, our rights need to be protected. So those things we can let our country leaders and all the people know about it, but it may take some more time for us to actually feel safe and secure.
Okay, we got 1,500 unreached people groups. And now we got a church planted in people group A. Thank God this is a celebration. And I've been part of that kind of missiologist meetings and all that. Honestly, I wish I could say we are happy, and I know. The critical problem people don't realize, you are talking about 62 million people in that particular people group. So are we going to simply say, thank God we got now 50 people coming to worship Jesus and the church planted and walk away? We don't do that.
By what we do through women's fellowship groups of Believers Church, we are actually able to touch and impact millions of women in our country and also in other Asian countries. And we have women's fellowship groups, like more than 9,000 groups we have. So we basically try to provide all the resources that would help them. But compared to the need out there, just like a small drop out in the ocean.
When we have 600 million people. I do not know if any other way there is for us to reach these women other than training sisters going out and serving God. Hope is on the way. Then also we have what we call sisters' order. That is, these are sisters who finish their biblical training and pledge their life exclusively to function as servants of Christ, and their dress code, everything reflects their servanthood. When they go to these communities, knock at the door, the moment they see the dress code, they welcome them. They know they are coming to help them and care for them. And we don't make them promise the rest of my life I will never get married. No, nothing like that. There is no such thing. But they can commit their life for 5 years, 10 years, or 3 years minimum. Then train them how to care for these people and go out into these villages and slums and among the prostitutes and among the Dalits and untouchables and give them hope.
His dream is to have over 5,000 sisters of compassion across India.
I always think my role model is Jesus. It is my dream to be like him and serve the poor and needy and give my life for them. And now that I have come to this island, I know that dream will come true. There is so much sadness in their lives. Is there any hope for these generations of broken people? There is nobody in this society to think about them. There is nobody to help them. But I can do this through the Lord's help. We started our work by starting a tuition center.
The tuition center is established to provide free educational help and tutoring to the village children.
We also provide cattle and domestic animals to women in need so they can have a way to make a living.
Huge possibility. They can work, they can earn a living, they can actually bring up their kids well, their kids can actually grow up and have a bright future.
We have a lot to do to help them, to empower them, to make them feel they have a voice. They should speak up for themselves.
Women reaching women, and we found out this is one of the most significant thing we have ever done in history of our mission. And the women are given dignity and honor.
Give them back their image in which God actually created them to be in. We are bringing actually, color back to their life.
Be the answer to the whole world, but I'm telling you what, we can start lighting one candle at a time, and all of a sudden, 2 becomes 4, 8, 16, 32, and 64, it just spreads. And literally that is taking place in places where the whole community finally find hope in Christ. not be satisfied. People will search out for more information and start praying and fasting. Give their energy and resources, whatever, so we can do more. And another neat, wonderful thing today, our problem is not that we cannot find enough workers, sisters, to go and reach these women. Our problem is having the resources enough to do it. In many places, we had to turn away hundreds of possible candidates because we just don't have the resources to train them for 3 years and keep doing it. In other words, the opportunity is unbelievable. The need is so huge, like Mount Himalaya, and we are desperate to do more and get the job done. Why? Because harvest will never wait. Someone said it's a fixed time. So 180,000 people die every 24 hours, having never known there's hope. Basically, our call is to be His witness for the sake of a lost world. It is absolutely, it's amazing.
As I saunter through murmuring crowds, I can just hear you whispering.
I don't have much to give, but I can pray for you.
The cool summer breeze makes the locks of my hair dance so carelessly.
We share in their pain and agony. When I see this mother, I see her as my mother.
Looking into the eyes of a newborn, the innocence craves your touch.
We serve the God that will love you.
No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind could know what God has prepared for those who love.
This mother, she thinks I'm her daughter.
Peek inside as I glide through the crowd. Now your kingdom dwells within me. Like your spirit, the wind comes and goes. No one knows. It's a mystery.
Tears they share with us, but I must fight back my own tears.
No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind could know what God has prepared for those who love Him.
When we visit a family, we never cry in front of them because we can see they are already broken. But when we return to our room, we sisters close the doors and shed many tears for them.
A faithful heart, I lay it all down here.
Not only will I pray for them till my death, but I will serve them.
No ear has heard, no mind could know what God has prepared for those who love Him.
When I am standing before the Lord in heaven, and I see so many widow mothers standing with me, I hear my God say, "You have done a good job, and because of you, these women are in heaven as well."
What you've just seen is a painful reality for millions of women in Asia. After watching this film, many people feel helpless, even overwhelmed by the need. But God can use you to directly impact women's lives on the other side of the world. Through Gospel for Asia, you can link your life with a woman missionary who will minister life-changing grace to hundreds of these precious women. You can be a part of restoring hope by standing with a missionary as she pours out her life for the women of Asia. It's so easy. For each monthly pledge of just $30 to Gospel for Asia's National Missionary Program, you'll receive a photo and a personal testimony of a woman missionary that you can pray for. Your prayers for her are vital, as she acts as your representative, ministering to these desperate women of Asia. To help you stand in the gap for your missionary, you'll receive quarterly updates from the region where she is serving, giving you further information about the challenges she faces and how the Lord is moving in that region. This will be a tremendous help in enabling you to intercede for her in a meaningful way. The impact you make may seem small and insignificant now, but one day we will all be together in heaven. People from every nation, tribe, and tongue will gather to worship the living God for all eternity. And multitudes will be there because of the decision you make today. To be a part of helping Gospel for Asia bring the hope of Christ to women, simply fill out the enclosed card or go to www.valeoftears.com. You'll be glad you did.